The emergent level is the very basis of when young children, usually from around the toddler years to the end of kindergarten, begin to become acquainted with the forms and functions of print. Much of this stage is based on pretending to both read and write. Because of the young age of the children, emergent readers and spellers do not read or spell conventionally, and they score 0 on the spelling inventories. With this being said, the emergent stage is an important process that can affect the student's reading and spelling abilities later in life. During the emergent stage, small steps like understanding how to hold a pencil, knowing to read left to right, turning pages, and writing in a linear fashion are important factors of growth. Pretending to read and write allows students to gradually acquire directionality. Directionality is realizing that they should move left to right, top to bottom, and end up on the last word on the page. Teachers catering to students at this stage make sure to point to each word as they read aloud to students. Once a student is able to accurately track words in print while reading, the student is moving from the emergent stage to the letter name alphabetic stage. Pretend reading lends to the ability to spell and write. Before young children at the emergent level can write and spell on their own, they must first be able to acknowledge and begin to become aware of the concept that written language conveys a message. In the emergent stage, young children become aware of the letters around them, such as at the grocery store or on street signs. Emergent readers are in the pre-alphabetic phase, where they are able to identify a few words or recognize some letters. At this stage, they might recognize the giant M at McDonald's or other letters at their favorite stores. In regards to spelling at the emergent stage, the spelling factor is something that develops in the later stages. In the emergent stage, the first task of a writer is to discover that scribbling can represent something. This is where they differentiate between using pictures to represent a word and transition into understanding that a series of letters makes up a word, which represents an object. When students begin to represent speech sounds with letters of the alphabet, they are on their way to acquiring the alphabetic principle. Once the alphabetic principle is acquired, the students are no longer emergent learners, and they move on to the next stage. For children to be able to spell, they must first isolate individual sounds in words by understanding the knowledge of letter names and the sounds they make. This systematic correspondence between letters and sounds is known as phonics. In the beginning of the emergent stage, children may use the letter that they hear the most in a word. For example, to spell cat, they may simply put K. For a mouse, they may simply put an S, and a B for baby. This is because the sound is what they hear the most in the word. The letter may not always be the first or last letter, rather, the sound that stands out the most. Acquiring phonological awareness is another aspect of the emergent stage. This is the ability to pay attention to the various sound segments of speech. This includes speech sounds, syllables, rhymes, and a sense of alliteration. Phonemic awareness is included in phonological awareness. This is the ability to segment letters into distinct sounds, also known as sounding out a word. Once again, for students to be able to learn to spell, they first must know the sounds that letters make. Children only achieve partial phonemic awareness at the end of the emergent phase. Since knowing the letters and sounds that letters make, teaching the alphabet is an important part of the emergent stage. Many initial activities are based around the child's name. Building their name with letter tiles, cutting it out of Play-Doh, or matching the letters with other words are a few simple activities. Making alphabet books associating letters with specific animals is another activity. Other activities include rhyming words, sorting pictures with the same sounds, and lining up according to the beginning letters of their names. Learning in the emergent stage should be fun and naturalistic. Pointing out letters in their environment is another way to increase a child's awareness during the emergent stage. Writing utensils like crayons and paper to draw on should always be available to young children. In summary, the emergent stage is broken into three categories. The early emergent stage is where children learn to hold a pencil and make marks on paper. The middle emergent stage is when children begin to write in top to bottom linear arrangements. Here, they experiment with letter-like forms and begin to recognize that print carries a message and can be read by others. In the late emergent stage, children begin to produce basic forms of spelling, and they know some letters. They know what sounds some letters make, and they know how to write some of the letters as well. From here, they are ready to move on to the next stage, the letter name alphabetic stage.